Hey guys, this is going to be part number 11 of Tapper. It's been a few weeks. Actually, it's probably been close to a month. I'm going to work on this power brick I have here on the floor. It's in pretty rough shape right now. It's all bent up and handles all bent on it and the base is all bent. So I'm missing a couple screws here for the bottom. So I'm gonna get this straightened out and cleaned up so that we can start getting this tapper finally finished up. I want to get it wired up this weekend and hopefully just get it up and running. So let me get the tripod set up here, and we will take that bottom plate off first, and we'll probably just use the floor and just hammer it down flat, and then take some pictures of the inside, and then I'll start stripping it down and cleaning it up. Okay, let's get this bottom plate off here. 2 screws on this side are missing, so I'm gonna take these 2 out, and I'm just gonna put 4 new ones in, just so that they all match. I'm not gonna worry about these couple. I'll save these because you never know in the future when you need them. So I'll pop these off, we'll get the bottom plate popped off. I mean, everything's intact, except for some reason these wires are cut here, which that's not good. Oh wait, you know, I'll have to look through my Journey video because the Journey one should be the same, and I don't know if these were used on if the Journey one had these on the bottom or not. I know this isn't hooked up. Maybe that's what that goes to. Those probably go to this. So I don't think we need that because I'm using a switching power supply. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. I have new big blue caps for it. I do have a new suitcase capacitor, which I'll probably just stick it in there just for aesthetics so it looks good. But I don't think we need much of this stuff other than this for the monitor, and then, you know, just to get voltage to the... I don't know if these caps do anything if you're using a power supply or not. Yeah, I don't know. If somebody can answer that and let me know, that would be great, because I never really did know if these had any effect on the monitor or not. I don't think they do, but I could be wrong. So what I'm going to do now is pull these, I call them handles, I don't know what they are, but I'm going to pull these off now. I got to straighten those up as well. This one's bent, this one seems all right. But I want to get this thing cleaned up, it's a mess. Make it look a little better than it is. We don't have to have it looking perfect, but it'd be nice to have it not a nasty mess. Oh, I'm going to save all these screws because the 2 that were out of the side are the same size as these ones for this, and you can see how this is bent a little bit. So we'll just beat that straight. I'm going to take a picture of the wiring underneath this, even though it's the same as the Journey, but the Journey's all put together, so I don't want to take something apart to look at it. So I'll have to take a couple pictures of this. But so basically I'm just going to take my hammer here and just straighten it out a little bit. That's it. Then I can clean these up with the buffer. On the Journey, I replaced this with a piece of black like poster paper. I'll probably just do the same with this one. That's pretty nasty. Looks like somebody dropped this thing from 10 feet up. To go over to my vise here. My counter's a little dirty from trying to get this car finished up, and I'm still waiting on parts for it. beat this a little bit flatter now on this. Much better. Not perfect, but it's pretty close. All right, I'm kind of just working on the floor today. I took a picture of where these wires plug in at and where the wires go on these big capacitors. So now I could take some of this apart and get this base cleaned up and then put it back together after everything's cleaned. I'm just gonna paint this thing and we'll just see how everything cleans up. The one for the Journey was in better shape than this one. Now, if you guys remember on the Journey one, when you take these capacitors off, don't get rid of them right away, because these studs that are in there that have an Allen key, you want to take these studs out of here and put them in your new capacitor, because the screws that come with the new capacitors are not long enough to handle all these wires in there. And I got to keep in mind that the black and striped wires are negative, the solid black ones are positive. Same thing with the red. The red and white striped ones are negative, the solid red ones are positive. And then you also want to make sure that this resistor stays between the two. So I'm going to take this nut back off a little bit here and just kind of throw that back on there so that we don't lose that. That one, and then we also have a jumper wire here that goes from negative to negative. So I'm going to leave this jumper wire on the negative one of this one for now, so that I know that when I put the new ones in, that I have to have that negative jumper wire go from this negative to this negative. So we'll just stick that back on there so that we know it is a negative terminal. Dropping my washer here. I want to save all this stuff because I'm going to reuse it. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing here. Yeah, let me move this way a little bit. There we go. I keep dropping this washer. Okay, that disconnects all those wires. And we have a power or a red wire here that was just loose. I don't know where the heck that went. I wonder if it must have went from positive to positive as well. Okay, that's what it did. So we'll just put that there. I believe it did. I'll have to really look at my pictures and see if that red wire went over to this red or to this positive on this one. So now we got those out of the way. We could take these clamps off here and take these two capacitors out of there. And I also want to take these clamps off of the base so that I can clean those up. And I'll show you guys how I just clean this stuff up. I just use a mini buffer with some rubbing compounds for automotive use. And I just buff the metal up just to make it look a little nicer. So those are out. And I also took a picture which one went on which side. The taller one goes towards the center. The shorter one went this way. And then if you look at these, they're labeled 55,000. This one was the shorter one, which went on that side. So when I put the new ones in, I just want to make sure I put them in the right order. So that's out. Now we have these 4 here, and we can drop this out. See if I have the right nut driver over here, or I gotta get another one or not. That's it right here. And this piece I'm taking out right now, I don't know what it's called, but I'll just probably sand it and spray it with a little bit of satin black or matte black spray paint just to make it look new again. So get that out of the way. Get these nuts, save these. Now, flip this over. We have to take the wires out. A couple of them go through the hole to go underneath. And then the other ones go onto these terminals here, so we just got to unplug them. And I did take a picture of what order they went in. 2 reds and 2 blacks. Now we can take this out. We'll be able to tape off these wires, sand this down, and paint that black again. Now I want to get these clamps off of here, so I got to grab a Phillips screwdriver. Actually, I'm gonna grab my drill. All right. Okay, we have one more orange wire. We'll just feed that through the hole for now. We're just gonna let those wires dangle underneath there. And also we'll do that with this side. And I'll probably take a piece of sandpaper and just sand these edges of these terminals for the fuses, just so that they're cleaned up. I missed the garbage. Pop this off. Pull these wires through. You can only put a couple through at a time because of the ends on them. Be nice if we could pop this out of here without breaking it. It's just this little plastic insert to keep the wires from grounding out on the metal. There's a couple of these we need to pop out. Then I can polish this and not worry about trying to go around them. There's just little ears on there you gotta push in. So those 2 are out. So now let's get this this suitcase, or this little, I don't know what this thing's called either, this other capacitor thing. Let's see if we can get this out of here. Okay, we'll take this clamp off of it. This is gonna get thrown away. I have a new one. Obviously, we're not gonna hook it up because somebody had cut the wires off on it. Take this off for now. That just fell off. The fuse panel was on the top side of this, holding this underneath. And we could take this plug out of here by pushing these tabs in right here, just so that we can clean this metal up nicer around it. So we'll just move that out of the way. We have another one here. Pop this down to one side. Okay, that we're just gonna let dangle underneath it. I'm fine with that. Now we can take off this other, maybe. Trying to think if we can get this other one off here. They are plugged in. Brown and white stripe is a brown and white stripe here. Let me just see here, that one, then we got a ground wire. And then the other ones go into this plug. But I think we'll be all right. Yes, we could take this off. So if we pop this brown and white striped one off here, make sure you guys are in the camera still here. I know it's not really zoomed in very well, but if I go much closer, you're not gonna be able to see anything. There's a wire right here that comes from here over to this distribution block. It's brown and white, and there's other brown and white ones on the same one. So you just gotta make sure you plug it back into that one. Just need to get this connector off of here. It's really on there. Okay, we got that one off. And then there is just a ground wire here. So we got a ground lug right there we need to loosen up. These wires, we're gonna have to cut this one wire. Or we can pop that Molex pin out of there. I'll have to see. I don't have my Molex tools out here, but we could probably just pop that pin out of there. Pull that one through. Because then we can get this out and get it cleaned up as well. And we'll have to just drop this plug out from the back side and unplug the rest of these as well. Which everything's labeled, colors. So as long as you match the colors back up, you'll be fine. Okay. They do have pictures of this. Basically, we just gotta get this ground strap off. The more we pull off, the easier it is to clean. This was a cut wire they had in there. So now I want to pop this plug through. And then we can loosen this up. This is just an RF filter. This can definitely be a little intimidating with how many wires are on here. You know, I'm gonna cut this wire and re-splice it because then I'll know where it goes. I'll solder it back together. We're taking off the isolation transformer. Okay. Now, everything should come through this hole. There we go. Now we can clean that up. And that's all we have left are these couple things here, and then we'll be able to clean this up. Unfortunately, we're going to lose these stickers in order to clean this metal up to make it look good. This will pop through. We'll just leave that underneath there. Doesn't matter. These fuses, we could pop these through as well, which just have these tabs right here. And they can dangle underneath if they do. It's fine. Okay, plugs is the last thing, and I think this was a pain in the butt on the last one. It has a clip on it, which this one looks different. The other one had a screw in the middle of it. This one does not have a screw on it. So this one, we're gonna push it through from the back to the front. Try to. It's one side. Okay, we are all cleaned up. Maybe we'll take these screws out and that divider, and then we can really get this thing cleaned up. And I'm probably just gonna leave everything on the floor right here and just put it right back together right where I took it apart at. Now all those screws are out of the way, so I can buff that as well. Looks like I can get this off too. I took this apart farther than I did the Journey one. I might be able to get that off. Screws are a little beat up in there. Take this off. Well, it looks like we just stripped every single thing off of here. So fingers crossed I get it back together. We got this flathead here. I'm gonna sand this down with my DA sander first and then hit it with the polisher. And we'll get this thing shining up nice. So let me grab a little Phillips bit and see if we can't get that off. Okay, let's get this off. Okay. Now we're going to move over a little bit and we'll get this sanded down I got my little DA sander here and some 320 grit sandpaper. So I just have some 320 grit sandpaper I'm going to put on here. Might have to go with 180, I'm not sure yet. You can see how that works. I'm going to stop the camera. I'm going to sand the rest of this and the edges down, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, I got that sanded down, the handles, and I sanded those down too. I went through about 3 pieces of sandpaper. So now I'm just going to take an old worn out buffing wheel and some just some cheap compound that I have laying around, and we're going to buff this metal up. A little too much there, but we'll just kind of smear it around. I think I'm gonna switch to a different pad. This one's just falling apart. Grab a different one. You can see how it kind of shines it up there versus that. So I'm going to go ahead and do this with the buffer, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. All right, I'm still buffing out those other parts, but I wanted to get some spray paint on these tonight so that it can dry overnight, and then tomorrow I can put it back together, because I got to run out here in a few, and I'll finish this video up tomorrow, and then I'll post it just showing how I clean up these power bricks. Okay, I'm back. Everything's cleaned up. I polished that up, so it looks pretty decent now. So I'm gonna put this divider piece in first. I took all my screws and hardware and I wire wheeled them all on my bench grinder. I just used a pair of pliers and I held the screw and then just cleaned them all up, the heads. So let's put this divider piece back in so that's out of the way. And on this, where these wires are cut, I think I'm gonna figure out where they go, splice them, and re-hook them up if it's possible. They're real short. It's going to be kind of hard to do, but I might be able to. I think those go to the oil canister thing, this right here. This is a new one right here. It's a motor run capacitor. That's what it says on here. I'm pretty sure that's where that goes. I got to look at my other video from my journey cabinet to see where that connects to. And these screws were all aluminum ones, so that's what I'm putting back in there. Okay, that's done. I cleaned up these too. I just wire wheeled them down. I think I'll put this in next. Try to get some of this stuff out of the way. These also use the same aluminum screws. Okay, I want to take these capacitors here, the new ones and the old ones, and the short one went on the outside, the taller one went on the inside. So this is the short of the two old ones, and this one is 55,000. This is a 56,000, so this is what will go on the outside. This is 100,000, this is 100,000, so that goes on the inside. I have an Allen key here so that we could take off this stud, because we want to put this stud onto these caps. And this side is negative. See how long those are compared to, you see how long that is compared to this little screw here. Just take these and screw them in all the way until they stop. Get our band clamp here. Upside down, goes this way. Now I kind of want to put them so that the terminals go like that. So I'm going to spin this clamp around. That looks good there. Our negative is going that way, so we'll make the negative on this one go that way as well. Okay, we'll do the same thing with the little one, or the 100,000 one. This is the positive side right here. Okay. Put this back in here before I lose it. And I'm gonna put, like I said, I'm gonna put the negative that way again. Spin this around. About there, looks good. Okay, let's get the fuse holders a little dirty here, clean them up. Let's pop these back in. Stick our main plug back in. I'm gonna go clean this real quick. It's pretty filthy. This just snaps in place. Then we have our power cord. This goes right next to it. Well, you know what? I think it goes from the bottom up. There we go. So that's in. Actually, I wonder if that's in the right spot. I'm gonna have to look at my picture. I wonder if this goes over here. Let me take a look real quick. Okay, yep, this is in the wrong spot. This goes over there. There's a 3-prong one that goes over here. Okay, now we have this. This goes right here. Okay, now we'll put this on. Two different size nuts here. I grabbed the wrong one. Sometimes it helps to have a magnetic screwdriver. All right, let's throw this one on. All this has to go through the hole. Now the stickers that I lost on the front side, which say what size fuses and stuff go in there, I might print up new ones, we'll see. But other than that, I could just look in the book and see what size fuse goes where. Okay, that's done. Clip this last plug in. Okay, now we have this, which goes right here. And I believe those screws go through to this. Trying to remember on this one. Should be these two. Nope. This is separate. This just goes through here, and the screws hang out the top side. Okay, this needs screwed back in. This goes right here. We'll wait a minute on that. We have to put this through. This is our ground lug, I believe. Let's flip this back over for a minute. Let's screw this on. This goes right here. This is just where all your ground wires go. Let's stick on the fuse holder. That goes right here. And those two screws hold the bottom piece on. This might be a little bit tricky. I gotta put this underneath it. And it goes this direction so that this red wire is pointing towards those two capacitors. Now I gotta try to hold all this and put this screw in. It's one. I got lucky. Okay, that's done. Trying to remember how those ones were fastened in. I think they might have been a nut and a bolt. Let me separate these screws here real quick. Okay. This is what I have left. This is for my ground. It's all ground right there. That leaves me with these four right here. Some of these can be a pain to get in. Okay, that's done. Get these grommets to put back in these holes. The wires with the ring terminals, those go through this hole right here. And they go underneath to the capacitor. These wires come over to here, and the order that these were in were just red, red, black, black on here. So you got a red, flip it back over. I'm missing a plug for this. What I did with it. I could have sworn it was in there. Oh, here it is, right here. Just never snapped it in place. Okay. Now, let's get the two handles, I call them handles, on it. Then that's all we have is a ground lug, and wire it up. At least now when I have these on there, I can flip it upside down and it won't be rocking around on me when I'm working on it underneath. This is probably gonna be a little bit of a longer video, but I figured I'd videotape it all so that you guys can see where this stuff hooks up in case you guys have one of these that maybe are torn apart or missing stuff. Hopefully this will help you out to show you where everything goes. I don't think I did that on the Journey one. I think I just kind of made a quicker video of it. Now, if you remember, we were short 2 screws to putting this bottom on. These are the 2 that I have. I'm gonna look and see if I have 2 more that look like this. If not, I'll just change them to 4 different ones, 4 matching ones. So now the only last thing to do on the top side here is to put this screw in here. And this goes in from the bottom up, and it's where all your ground wires go to. So we're just gonna stick this through here. And it gets a nut. It's a flathead. So this gets tightened down. And then it'll get a washer and another nut. And then that's where all your ring terminals will go onto. Just like that. So the outside of this is done. I think that looks a million times nicer than it did. So now we just need to wire it up on the inside. And we have to bring wires through here that go onto these terminals here. But first, let's wire up the capacitors. And This outer one's the reds, the inner one's the blacks. I am going to double check real quick. Okay, I'm gonna try to get you close enough here to see. Reds are on this outside one, blacks are on the inside. There is a jumper wire that goes from negative of this one to negative of this one. On my photo, this one right here is a positive, and it literally was just kind of hanging out over here. So I got to figure that one out. I don't know why that's doing that, because this one's coming this way. So I don't know why my picture, why it has this extra one here. For now, I'm going to take it off. I don't really know what that was for. But it was literally, when I took this thing apart, it was kind of just sitting right here. So you obviously don't want to have that positive lead out in the open like that. And I don't know why they did that. I don't know what it's missing yet. I'm gonna have to look it up and see if I can find out what it is. But anyways, so all our solid color wires go on the positive side. All our striped wires go on the negative side. So we're gonna get all our solid ones. There's only a few. I'm thinking that other red wire went over to here and then something connected onto the back side of it, but I'm not sure what it is. Okay, now we gotta get our negatives. All our red negatives, which are the red and white striped ones. And you can see why you need these longer studs versus those short screws, because of all these terminal ends. Okay, now we have all our blacks, which I'm gonna have to spin this capacitor because these ones are not long enough. They need, actually I need to spin it like completely around. Which of course, and I'm gonna have to spin it inside of here as well. It's pretty good there. Okay, now our positive's on this side, so now that these will reach. Remember, this orange one goes to the negative. So we have 2 positive, or 3. And this one too, it's 4. And the rest are striped. Okay, so now our negative. Let's throw this yellow one on first because I have it all the way on the bottom on the other side too. Throw these two on. You can see there's a ton on this one. Okay, those are all connected. This gray wire goes over to this plug. Remember yesterday we had cut it. So we need to go through this grommet here in the center with the orange, I believe. I gotta look that up. I know that the gray one goes through here. And that goes over to here. And we'll have to cut, solder, and shrink tube that back together. We'll do that in the basement because I'm not gonna bring out all my soldering stuff to do a couple wires. Okay, these are both ground wires. So these are gonna go through here to the outside. You know what, this orange wire does go to the outside. Okay, so these two greens go through that grommet. This red one's gonna go through that grommet. This orange one's gonna go through that grommet. This orange wire is going to go through this grommet. And then I think it goes to that grommet. I'm not sure on that one. I gotta look this up. Let me look at my pictures and then I'll come back. Okay. This orange wire goes through this grommet on this side. Okay, we're gonna flip this over and hook up these ones first. So what we have here is we have, I gotta slide these down one. This black goes all the way to the end, both of these blacks. The two greens hook up where the blacks are. So green is across from the black ones. And then you have two red ones, which here's one of the red ones here. And then we gotta transfer these over one. This is that orange wire that I shoved through. That goes on the first terminal. That's your main power fuse for the power. This is your orange, which goes directly opposite of it. It's nice how they at least color coded everything from one side of the fuse to the other. So now we have our greens, our red, and our orange. We're missing a red wire. And I don't see it, and I'm not sure. That I'm gonna have to research because I don't know if it was the wire that came off of here that goes to that one or what. So this we need to splice together. I'm not sure on that last red one yet. Actually it's right here. So let me, and it's got a stripe on it, black stripe. Here's a red and black stripe right here. That's where this came from. This wire goes through there. It went over to here. Somebody had stole one of these terminals off of here because this black and white stripe wire goes through there, comes over to the terminal right here. And then from this terminal, it goes over to the capacitor right here. So we need to we could probably eliminate that terminal. I don't see any reason why we need that terminal. So what we'll do is we'll just take this wire and we'll splice it into this wire. We'll just solder these two together, hook this up to the capacitor. Because I don't see any reason to have that, and we'll just shrink tube it and it'll be just fine. So I'm gonna put this through here and we'll put this on this terminal over here. Okay, so we just have to remember to solder that together as well. So now we have 2 wires so far that we need to solder. I'm gonna pull this apart and take this and connect it onto there, so at least it's onto there. Now we know that we need to just connect these 2 together. Shrink tube it really good, solder it. So that takes care of that. That solves that problem that we were wondering where that wire went. So that's solved, that one solved. This whole side, I believe I'm done with, other than these 4 wires, which I don't know yet. I think these 4 wires go to this oil canister. And I don't want to have to take apart my Journey cabinet to look at it, but I might have to, because I don't know that I have another one of these laying around. I have to really search and see. Now I'm going to go and look at my pictures so that we can start plugging all these in. I know for a fact that this one's still plugged in, which is blue and white stripe. Let me make sure you guys can see here. Yeah, it's kind of hard, but you can see. So this one's still plugged in, and this is blue and white. So we're going to take the other blue and whites and plug it into the same terminals. There's 4 terminals per section. So I have 3 blue and whites plugged into that, and it looks like there's only 3. Now I have another one at the end here that are still plugged in that are just solid blues. Here's a solid blue, so we need to plug this in with the other 2 solid blues. And it looks like that is all of the solid blue colors that we have. Okay, so now I don't really need to look this up because it's all basic. Keep all the same wires on the same terminal. So let's use this last one here for our browns. So we're going to take all our browns. You know what? Let's not do that. Let's do all our browns right here. Brown, brown. You know, I'm gonna look at the picture. I don't want to get confused. Okay, I was right. This is browns, but I can't plug. I gotta move them over one. Brown, brown, because the white wire right here that goes to this external plug goes to the bottom brown. Same thing with these blues. I need to rotate these blues. So I need to stick a blue over here. See which blue is longer. Guess it doesn't really matter. So I need to stick a blue there. This black wire from the plug on the other side goes to the bottom terminal of the blue ones. And I'll do a close-up here once I get these all plugged in so you can see where they go. Boy, that one don't want to go on. Tight. Okay. All right, so do we have any other solid brown ones right here? Nope, that's striped, striped, striped. 4 striped browns. Okay, so next is our orange, blue and orange. Those go after the solid browns. We'll take all our blue and oranges and put them on these ones. And it doesn't matter where you place them on the terminal, as long as they're all in the same row. Okay, now our last terminal over, they were the brown and white stripe ones, which are 4. There's 4 of those ones. And you'll notice on this block that I'm plugging everyone into, on the brown and white stripe one, there's actually 5 terminals. All the other ones only have 4 terminals. So that'll also help you remember that the brown and white stripe ones go on the end farthest to the outside. Now that's all we have left are these 2 ground wires. And these 2 ground wires, if I remember correctly, were on the 3 ground wires. All these were attached to one of the screws going to this RFI filter. So we can just take one of those screws loose and we'll put all the grounds on there. It doesn't matter if they go on that screw or a different screw. Long as it's grounded to the housing of this, it's fine. So basically we got to hook up these 3 ground wires here, and then I think we're about done with it out here other than this. But like I said, if I can get wires soldered onto this over to here, I will do that in the basement when I'm soldering those other wires. So now let's just get this one pain in the butt screw back out and hook up our ground wires. I thought that's where they went when I was putting this on, and I should have done it, but I didn't. Get that nut out of the way. So now we got to try to get all 3 of these wires onto this screw. And tighten back down, which is going to be a pain in the butt. 1. It's always nice to try to untangle these wires as much as you can too, so they're not crisscrossing every which way. 2. Now we just gotta try to get one more on there, and the nut. You know what? I'm only going to put those 2 on there. I'm going to take this other one and go over to that main ground lug. I'm going to look at the picture again. I think that's how it went. Completely wrong. So take these back off. All 4 of these green wires go to the ground lug, the main ground lug. Sorry about that. I don't know why I thought it went on these. My picture definitely had them all going to the main one. Maybe I had another one in the past that was like that. I don't know. Glad I looked. That's why it's always good to take pictures. Even if yours is put together a little wrong, at least to still have some pictures so you can reference it and know, you know, you weren't crazy on how it was originally put together. Okay, so now we have to take apart this main one again. Completely take it out. I'm going to take off the other nut and washer. Not a big deal. So now we can take all 4 of these, because there's actually 4, not 3. We have 1, 2. I must slide this one underneath so that they're all kind of going underneath the same area. We got 3. And we have a 4th one here. Then it feeds through there. We have our nut. Okay, we're nice and tight there. Then this, stick our washer and our nut on there for now. We have one last thing to do. This goes over here. I got to see which terminals it was on. This one goes on the blue and the brown, the first 2. So something's not right here. I'm missing a... I got this backwards. You're not going to believe this. Remember how I said this brown and white stripe one had 5 terminals and the rest had 4 terminals. That's because this is supposed to be spun around this way, and these, so that I have my 5th terminal for these two. So now I have to pull all this apart right here and spin this around. So what are you gonna do? It happens. And it's just something that stupid too. 1 terminal makes the difference. If they would have just made this whole thing with 5 terminals all the way down, you wouldn't have to worry about that. But they didn't, and it is what it is. Hey, better me to make the mistakes than you. Then you don't have to worry about making the same stupid mistakes I do. Not a big deal, it'll only take a minute to switch it around. So we gotta spin this around this way, because now, actually this first one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the first one. And then the rest are 4, 4, 4, 4. I couldn't see that 6th one when it was in place. And of course I got my screw stuck down there. Okay, so now let's start over. Our black wire from our plug goes to the first terminal. Stick it all the way down at the bottom. Our white wire from the plug goes to our second terminal down. So now we go, our first set of wires are solid blue. So we're gonna go solid blue, solid blue. We're gonna stick this on now. And the writing was facing towards me, so I'll just put it back on the same way. I don't think it matters. I don't really know what it does, maybe some sort of a interference thing, I'm not sure. Okay, so after that, all our blues are on. Let me double check again. I believe, let me double check again. Blue and orange are next. Then blue and white. Then our brown and white. And we got a solid blue here that we missed. So we need to bring that over, slide this over one. This is our brown and white. This is our solid brown. Goes here. You gotta sometimes rotate these connectors, because one side's fatter than the other. In order to get that last terminal on, sometimes you have to spin them around. Okay, and we have one last brown wire, which goes right here. Okay, we are 100% hooked up, minus these 4 wires and these 2 wires here. And I don't like the way that this handle's crooked. Tighten that down some more. Okay, I'm gonna end this video here. I gotta cut a piece of board for the bottom of that, and I need to solder those wires in. I'll solder those wires in on the next video, which will be later on today when I start wiring up the cabinet. But at least you can see how much nicer this looks. It was all filthy and corroded before. Let me pan around on the bottom side here. Let me flip this over, just so you can kind of get a real good view of where the wires connect to. Just in case you need to know. And once I hook up this, if I can get these hooked up, I'll show you where those go as well. But I'll do that in the basement. So that's pretty much it. And like I said, don't forget, we got to solder this wire together and the two red wires together. So that's pretty much going to end this video here. Plug this back in here. All right, that's going to end this video. Later on today, I'll get this in the basement, and we will start wiring up the cabinet with the new wiring harness from Golden Age Arcade. And we'll finish this up, mount it in the bottom of the cabinet, and then we can start routing all our wires. And then after that, I got to find a monitor that we can use in there that's going to work, that's not horribly screen burned. And it's basically the control panel is already wired up. We got to put the marquee light and all that stuff together, the speakers in it. So there's quite a bit to do, but I really want to see if I just can't get it wrapped up this weekend. I'll do a wiring video and then probably one last video of it finished up. So should have it all done this weekend, and then I can move on to the next project, which that Galaxian, I'm going to fix that up for my buddy. And then after that, I think we're gonna move on to Wizard of War. The wiring harness is at Golden Age Arcade. I had found an original one that was missing a few wires and a few end connectors. And I sent it to him to restore it. And while in the process of restoring it, he is making a template so that he can make more Wizard of War wiring harnesses for the upright cabinet for anybody who needs one. So if anybody is looking for a Wizard of War upright cabinet wiring harness, he will have them at some point. I don't know how long. He had messaged me a week or so ago and said he was almost done with it with mine. So hopefully he has it all documented and anything like that. And if anybody needs to get a hold of them, you know, if you're looking now, maybe even send him a message now and say, hey, you know, I'm looking for a Wizard of War wiring harness, put me on the list or something like that, because I don't know how long it'll take him. Usually it takes him, 3-4 weeks or so to make it and ship it out. So, but that's going to end this video, guys. Part number 11 of Tapper. Later on, I'll do part number 12. And then this weekend, should wrap it up with part 13. So thanks, guys, for watching. If you like what you're seeing, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later.